Jeffrey Epstein was enormously wealthy. At the time of his death in 2019, he owned a collection of mansions across the world, two private islands. He was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Exactly how this disgraced financier managed to become so wealthy is central to the ongoing scandal, and both Republican and Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill want answers. Here's CNN's Tom Foreman.
When convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein was found dead behind bars, he owned two Caribbean islands, homes around the world in Manhattan, New Mexico, Palm Beach, Paris. And according to Forbes, his estate was valued at $578 million, making Epstein clearly a wealthy man. Not so clear to some who have watched the case closely how he got it all.
I think that's the smoking gun here, Epstein's finances and how he made his money, who he got money from.
Born in middle-class Brooklyn, Epstein was a bright student who dropped out of college and into high finance, where he courted billionaire clients, including the man behind Victoria's Secret and The Limited. Les Wexner kickstarted Epstein's professional success. And when Epstein's private crimes came out, he expressed outrage.
Being taken advantage of by someone who was so sick, so cunning, so depraved, is something that I'm embarrassed that I was even close to.
But Epstein made many rich and powerful contacts before his sexual predations were publicly known, including now President Donald Trump, who in 2002, before his friendship with Epstein fell apart reportedly over a real estate deal, told New York Magazine, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy." Aside from Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime girlfriend, none of his highly placed former pals have been charged with any crimes related to him. No law enforcement authorities have ever accused Trump of any wrongdoing in relation to Epstein. And the president bristles at the whole idea that the Epstein case still has secrets to reveal.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
Still, some find Epstein's fortune inexplicably large, too big in their assessment to have been made by legitimate hustle. And they openly wonder, with no proof, at least not yet, if maybe some of Epstein's contacts were somehow involved in his crimes and paying to keep it quiet.
We need to know, were they paying Jeffrey Epstein money to do these? Who gave him the loans to buy the islands? What was he paid? Where did that money come from?
Tom Foreman, CNN, Washington.
Joining me now is political anchor for Spectrum News and host of The Big Deal with Errol Louis. Errol, good to have you this Saturday. So let's start with the Ghislaine Maxwell interviews. The Deputy AG, Todd Blanche, spent 2 days interviewing her. At the end of the second day, Maxwell's attorney was asked about potential for pardon, and so was the president. So let's watch those.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
A lot of people are asking me about pardons. Obviously, this is no time to be talking about pardons.
We haven't spoken to the president or anybody about a pardon just yet. And listen, the president this morning said he had the power to do so. We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way. Thank you.
Haven't spoken about a pardon yet. Haven't thought about a pardon, but I'm allowed to. What do you hear there?
Oh, well, good morning, Victor. What I hear is what I think we all just saw with our own eyes, which is that in a shocking departure from normal procedures, a very high-ranking member of the Justice Department went and spent, 7 hours talking to this convicted felon, this person who did not even testify in her own case, never said a word in her own trial, and clearly made some kind of a deal or slyly suggested to her that, gee, if you say the right things or if you keep your mouth shut, there could be a pardon and you might be able to get out of prison in 20 months instead of 20 years.
But, Errol, is there any way that the president, let's say the pardon is on the table, before the very end of this term would do that. Could he carry that politically to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell?
Well, sure. I mean, listen, Victor, because of the Constitution and the prohibition on running for another term, Donald Trump is essentially a lame duck. If you project out to the end of his term, he'll be a very wealthy man who's in his 80s who can't run for office again. What would it harm him to sort of do these kind of dirty deeds and have the rest of us decry it as improper or immoral? He won't care at that point. I'm not sure he cares right now.
Yeah, I mean, it would be one thing to do it January 19th of 2029 versus to do it August 1st of 2025. But let's talk about the content of these interviews. You've got the president's former personal attorney, who he's appointed the deputy AG, going to interview a convicted perjurer who, as we see, wants a pardon, about a scandal that the president wants distance from. So how much credibility is there in what comes out of this if we ever get the details of these interviews?
Yeah, I'm not sure we're ever going to find out exactly what was said, but this is a part of what has been a desperate mission, very much as Tom Foreman just reported, by the White House to just try and make this go away. They just don't want us talking about it. They don't want reporters digging into it. The problem, of course, is that in MAGA world, there are a number of really senior people who are now part of the Trump administration who spent years. I mean, you know how that ecosystem works, Victor, where on talk radio and on websites and in books over and over and over again, they've said that Jeffrey Epstein is not just some wayward, depraved political player, but that he's central to how you have to understand politics. And they cannot now convince the MAGA base that there's nothing to see here. So I think they're gonna pull out every last stop that they possibly can, including some kind of a statement or non-statement from Ghislaine Maxwell, if they think that will work, just to try and get this off the table. The central question, of course, is, Mr. President, what did you know? What was your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein really about? And if you knew that he was engaged in illegal activity, why didn't you say something?
And there are enough members of the Republican conference in Congress now who want answers to those questions that this House subcommittee and oversight, they've now voted to subpoena the Epstein files. I want you to listen here. This is Republican Mike Kennedy. He held a virtual town hall. And for you at home, if you are having breakfast or if you are drinking a protein shake, sit the cup down, sit the fork down. This is pretty graphic, but I think it's important. Let's play it.
I am a big fan of full transparency, and of course, healthcare and how it's delivered is a big way of thinking about things. Is if you've got a festering boil, infected wound with pus underneath there, you can continue to just let it fester, and potentially that's going to grow inward and create infection in your bloodstream and cause the whole body to be sick. Well, it's another way, and I've done this many times over the course of my doctor career. Is I just had to put a needle or a knife in it and cut it open and let it drain. And in the case of this Epstein stuff, absolutely, let it out.
Well, if that didn't turn your stomach, Errol, what is the impact of the pressure from these town halls that Republicans will face, and from their voters, not from Democrats who are maybe shouting them down, from their voters over the next month?
Yeah, I mean, here again, look, we have a president who came to national political prominence based on a lie and a conspiracy theory called birtherism. He has, over the years, used conspiracy theories over and over and over again, and he has trained his base, and he's gotten them accustomed to the idea that these weird, dark conspiracies about the so-called deep state are the key to understanding politics. And he's finding it very, very hard now to shut that down. What his members of his Republican Party are going to tell him is that there are a lot of people out there now who bought all of that stuff for over a decade now, and you can't just switch it off. That's the problem, by the way, with conspiracy theories, is there's nothing you can do to stop them beyond a certain point. And so people are going to take them and run with them. And anytime you say there's nothing else to see here, I don't have any more information, they say, what else are you hiding?
Errol Louis, good to have you this Saturday. Enjoy the weekend.